Today in Augusta, a quick heads up. Elevated fire risk across Maine as dry air and breezes line up. We'll break down what to do and why it matters. All right, let's set the stage for this one. I'm Garrett.
And I'm Leah. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett from Augusta, Maine.
First up, elevated fire risk in Maine. The National Weather Service, which is the federal agency that tracks and forecasts our weather, flagged today, April 17th, for dry and breezy conditions that can push small sparks into fast-moving fires. Here's the quick science. Wind acts like a giant bellows. More oxygen means flames travel faster. Low humidity, which is just dry air, pulls moisture out of grasses, leaves, and brush, turning them into easy fuel. Add in Maine's patchy drought conditions, tracked by the U.S. Drought Monitor, a weekly report on dryness, and you get a stack of risk factors. Forecasters say the southern and mid-coast areas are seeing the sharpest humidity drop. The advice is simple and strict today. Don't start fires. If you absolutely must deal with any flame, monitor it closely, fully extinguish it, and keep water or a fire extinguisher on hand. Dispose of smoking materials in an ashtray or metal container, not on the ground or out a window. And keep vehicles and equipment off dry grass. Even hot exhaust systems can ignite it.
That last point always gets me. Heat from a tailpipe or catalytic converter, which is the part that reduces exhaust pollution, can literally set a field on fire if you park on crunchy, dry grass. That's wild. Real talk, days like this aren't the time to test luck. If you're in Augusta or nearby, skip the brush burn. It's not worth it. Why does a little rain tomorrow help, but not, fix it immediately?
Great question. Light rain can moisten the surface. Think top leaves and the first layer of soil. But deeper fuels like twigs and duff, which is that mat of leaves and needles, can stay dry. Also, if wind kicks up again after the rain, things dry out fast. So Tuesday's showers may reduce risk, but they're not a reset button.
Okay, next up, a discrimination lawsuit filed against the Catholic Diocese of Portland. Monica Giordano, who worked more than 20 years as an administrative assistant at St. Joseph Church in Ellsworth, says she was fired after reporting what she calls inappropriate behavior and remarks by a priest, Reverend Emile Dube. Timeline here. Early 2023, Giordano reports concerns. By May, she's terminated. In October, the Maine Human Rights Commission, which is the state agency that investigates discrimination claims, finds reasonable grounds that age and sex discrimination may have occurred. Negotiations with the diocese fell apart, and now we have a lawsuit alleging violations of federal and state discrimination laws. Reverend Dube, for context, retired in 2024. The case, to me, underscores how important it is to have clear, trusted channels for reporting workplace issues. When those channels feel risky, people stay quiet. When they speak up, they can fear retaliation, which is when someone gets punished for raising a concern. This is one to watch closely.
Yeah, and here's a detail that surprised me. Giordano is an ordained congregational minister. That's a Protestant tradition. Working inside a Catholic parish as a longtime staffer is a unique crossover. That kind of background probably gave her a strong sense of pastoral care, which is the supportive people-first side of church work. If her account is accurate, it raises big questions about how complaints get handled structurally, not just interpersonally. Why might negotiations stall after a state commission finds reasonable grounds? Not gonna lie, I'm curious about that.
Sometimes each side reads the same finding differently. A reasonable grounds finding isn't a court verdict. It's basically the state saying the claim has enough merit to proceed. From there, settlement talks can hinge on money, apologies, policy changes, or all of the above. If the sides are far apart on any piece, talks can fail and the case goes to court.
Next up, a federal judge just sided with Augusta activist Nicholas Blanchard, who a lot of folks know by the nickname Corn Pop, in a First Amendment fight with the school board over public comment rules. The judge said parts of the policy were too vague, especially sections limiting comments about complaints, allegations, and personal matters. Background: Blanchard, who regularly speaks at school board meetings, filed the lawsuit back in January 2023. He's represented by the Institute for Free Speech, a nonprofit focused on First Amendment rights, and Steve Smith trial lawyers. The judge's ruling came down today, April 17th. The case is still ongoing, and the board could appeal.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The broader trend we're seeing around the country is school boards retooling their comment rules in response to legal challenges. If policies say, basically, don't talk about complaints or personal matters, the question is, how do you raise concerns about real people or specific decisions, which are often the heart of public accountability? And Blanchard's protest style stands out. He's taped his mouth shut and played recordings to make a point about limits on speech. Unconventional, for sure, but that kind of attention can spotlight the issue for people who don't read policy documents for fun. Why does vagueness in a policy become a constitutional problem?
Because vague rules make people guess. If you don't know what's allowed, you self-censor to avoid punishment. That chill on speech is what courts try to prevent. The First Amendment protects even uncomfortable or critical comments about officials and policies. Reasonable time, place, and manner limits are okay, but content-based bans need to be crystal clear and narrowly tailored, meaning tightly focused on a real problem.
Next up, Central Maine Healthcare in Lewiston is laying off 38 IT workers as it transitions to Epic, which is a cloud-based electronic medical record system used to manage patient charts, scheduling, and billing. The organization says these specific roles became redundant during the switch. Context matters here. Prime Healthcare Foundation, which is a nonprofit hospital operator, acquired Central Maine Healthcare back in February 2023. The Epic rollout is part of about a $150 million investment aimed at improving quality and efficiency. Leaders say no direct patient care positions are affected, and the layoffs are under 1.5% of the total workforce. They're also projecting a 5% increase in net revenue once Epic is fully in place, which, in plain terms, means the system expects to bring in more money than it spends by streamlining operations.
Yeah, that checks out on the efficiency side, but it hits different if you're one of the 38. Tech transitions can create winners and losers in the short term. Long run, a unified record system can cut duplicate tests, reduce errors, and make billing cleaner, but the human cost now is real. I hope there's solid support for folks looking for their next role. Why go Epic and not just upgrade the old system?
Epic's appeal is scale. It's widely used, cloud-based, and integrates a lot of tasks under one roof. Fewer handoffs, fewer chances to lose info, and hospitals can share records more easily with partners who also use it. For leadership, that's a strong argument for change, even if the transition is bumpy.
Last up, Maine's contribution to America's time capsule, which is set to be buried in Philadelphia on July 4th and opened on the nation's 500th birthday in 2276. The Maine Semi-Quincentennial Commission, that's the group planning for the 250th, chose 7 items to represent who we are right now. Among the items, postcards with maps of Maine, suggested by Libby Bischoff at the University of Southern Maine's Osher Map Library, because postcards are small but culturally rich. A Wabanaki sweetgrass and ash bookmark, which nods to indigenous traditions and the ash tree's threat from the emerald ash borer. A North Atlantic right whale vertebra, highlighting one of the most endangered whales on the planet. A poem by Maine's poet laureate, Julia Bousma, and a letter from Governor Janet Mills. The capsule is being built and filled at the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the federal science agency that sets measurement standards. There's also a note about the 2024 solar eclipse, with the path of totality crossing Maine tucked into the broader project timeline. Future Americans will get a little window into what mattered to us and why.
I love the choices. They're more thought-provoking than, say, a lobster trap. That whale vertebra says, hey, we care about what's vanishing, and the bookmark says we honor the Wabanaki, who are the tribes indigenous to this region. Also, the postcard twist is so very Maine. We were once a center of postcard production, and one of the designs even showed up printed on motel bath mats. Can you believe that's even a thing? Why postcards over like a big coffee table book?
Size and symbolism. Postcards are compact, durable, and they carry personal messages. They map a place and a feeling in the space of a stamp. For a time capsule, that's pretty efficient storytelling, right?
So there we have it, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett from Augusta, Maine. Have a great day. Join us again tomorrow.